Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushua, Bahasham Machak, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders, the great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, whomever you may be, wherever you may be. Shalom, Yeshua, Shalom. All right, going to get into this lesson here. I was intending to do it yesterday, but, I ended up doing the other lesson here. So we're going to get into this one today. We're going to start at James 1:1. All right, it says, James, a servant of the Most High and of the Lord, Hamashiach Yahushua, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. I never go into 12 tribes because we obviously want to pull up scattered abroad. But I never go into 12 tribes. And look, lo and behold, it says Fule. We know what that means. All right, in the New Testament, all persons descending from one of the 12 sons of the patriarch Jacob. Okay, so this encompasses one particular family, not all the people. And that's why this letter is addressed to that particular family and not all people, all nations. It says to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Okay, and when you get scattered abroad, where there's diaspora. Okay, so it says a scattering dispersion of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations, which we still are today, scattered amongst the heathen nations. All right, it says of the Christians scattered abroad among the Gentiles. Now the Christians are actually the Israelites, so that definition is somewhat off, unless you're talking about the heathen Gentiles. Then it's on point, because the Christians are actually Israelites. Not like you talk about the modern day churches that call themselves Christians. No, we're talking about the ancient people that were actually called Christians. All right, of the Christians scattered abroad among the heathens, basically the Gentiles, the natural Gentiles. Okay, but the one that's more spot on is number one, of Israelites dispersed among the foreign nations. And let's get greetings while we're here. Greeting. Okay, it says what? To rejoice, be glad, to rejoice exceedingly, to be well, thrive, in salutations, hail. And that's what pretty much, as this letter starts off. Look, here we go. At the beginning of letters, to give one greeting salute, you see? And who is this being saluted towards? The 12 tribes of Israel that are scattered abroad amongst heathens. Okay? So with that being read, we're going to jump over to Acts chapter 8. All right, we're going to read verse 1-4. It says, and Saul was consenting unto his death, and at the time there was a great persecution against the church, which was at Jerusalem. What's the church? This is the gathering of Israelites. This was the church that they was talking about. Okay, that's why we read James 1:1, knowing, covering the basic fact that Israelites were scattered everywhere amongst the heathen colonies. So the word there is ecclesia, and it says a gathering of citizens called out from their homes into some public place, in assembly. Not as general, but let's get more down to it. It says the assembly of Israelites. That's what the church is. That's the gathering of citizens from their places to a public area. Those are the churches of the ancient days. Israelites gathered together, all right, with on one accord, all right, with one name, Yahweh, one Savior, Yahushua. Okay. So we don't really need to read anything else from there. I just wanted to get the straight point. The assembly of the Israelites, that's the true church. Okay, not these buildings today. It says, which was at Jerusalem. Okay, further solidifying that this was obviously Israelites, or as they would say, Jews, right? And they were all scattered abroad throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles, all right? Judea being in the south, okay, Samaria being in the north, okay, of that same general area. This is all scattered abroad, okay, scattered abroad, which is the same word that we got there in James 1:1. That's why we started with James 1:1, you see, to scatter abroad, disperse, okay, throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles. It says, and devout men carried Stephen to his burial and made great lamentation over him. As for Saul, he made havoc of the church, entering into every house, and hailing men and women committed them to prison. Therefore, they that were scattered abroad went everywhere preaching the word. So you get the general theme of why we're reading these scriptures here. Israelites being scattered, okay, in general areas and areas, further out, okay? And this right here, we were reading, as extension of the account of Stephen, right? So it says, therefore, they that were scattered abroad went everywhere preaching the word. Now, we're going to stay in Acts, but we're going to actually jump over to chapter 11 to continue what we're talking about and go and show you an extension of what we just read in Acts chapter 8. So let's go to verse 19. The church at Antioch, all right? Israelites at Antioch, basically. It says Acts chapter 11, verse 19. Now, they which were scattered abroad, right? Were scattered abroad, diaspora, dispersed, okay? The Lord's dispersed are his Israelites, but let's keep going. Scattered abroad upon the persecution. As a matter of fact, let's pull up scattered abroad, because you see diaspora, and we got that same thing, scattered abroad, to disperse, right? I want to just check, see what these other words were. To scatter, okay? I don't think there's anything here. Yep, nope. So we don't need that. So as it says, now they which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen, okay? So this is all the way from Acts chapter 8 to here in Acts chapter 11. Okay, traveled as far as Phoenice. Okay, matter of fact, I wasn't gonna go into it, but let's pull it up anyways. Okay. Phoenicia, land of palm trees, a territory of the province of Syria, situated on the coast of the Mediterranean between the river Eleutherus and the promontory of Carmel, some 30 miles long and 3 or 5 kilometers broad. You see? 30 miles long and 3 miles broad. A territory of the province of Syria. That's where they were scattered to, right? Stephen, it says they traveled as far as Phoenice and Cyprus. We all know where Cyprus is, but let's pull it up anyways. Okay, one. It says a very fertile and delightful island of the Mediterranean, lying between Cilicia and Syria. Okay. Cyprus, you may also hear Chittim or Kittim. It's the same island. All right. When you go into Maccabees chapter 1, when it talks about Alexander and his father Philip, it mentions that island, Kittim, Shittim, or Cyprus. That's the island in that Mediterranean off the coast. You can look that up. It says, and Antioch. Let's pull up Antioch. All right. Capital of Syria, situated on the river Orontes, founded by Seleucus Nicanor in 300 BC and named in honor of his father Antiochus. Many Greek Jews, meaning that there were Israelites that lived in these territories just like us today. Some of us live in America, so though we're Israelites, they call us Americans because we live here as citizens, or maybe we were born here, okay? Many Greek Jews lived there, and it was here that the followers of the Messiah were first called Christians. See? Also says a city in Pisidia on the borders of Phrygia, founded by Seleucus Nicanor. Under the Romans, it became a colonia and was also called Caesarea. I'm pretty sure this word means what I think it means, but I'm going to go into it anyways. I don't think we're going to get a definition here. Okay, here we go. Possibly. If it'll come up. Give it a second to drop down. Come on. Here we go. It says an unincorporated settlement as of Mexican Americans or Mexicans in the U.S., usually near the Mexican border, that typically has poor services and squalid conditions. Okay. So an unincorporated settlement in the U.S., usually near the Mexican border, that typically has port services. So that's just a example there. But it says under the Romans, it became a colonia and was also called Caesarea. So it was basically under Roman jurisdiction, to say the least. Okay. So it says preaching the word to none but unto the Jews only. The Israelites, right? And these were what? Israelites scattered abroad. Okay. Preaching the word to none but unto the Jews only. Okay. Verse 20 says, and remember these were scattered, these were dispersed, right? And some of them were men of Cyprus and Cyrene, which when they were come to Antioch, hold on, we skipped over that. Some of them were men of Cyprus, which we just talked about up above. It says and Cyrene. So where's Cyrene? All right, a native of Cyrene. I thought it would pull it straight up without me having to tell you where it is. Here we go. You see? A region of Africa. All right, it's right there in the north. Okay, it's situated on the bottom of the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. All right, a guy in the Bible known as Simon of Cyrene. Right. It says a large and very flourishing city of Libya, Cyrenaica, or Pentapolitana, about 11 miles from the sea. Among its inhabitants were a great number of Jews. You see, a great number of Jews, because this was a society of Israelites that lived here, because they were what? Scattered into all these different areas. You see? So they lived in up here, basically what is known as modern day Libya, okay? In modern day so-called Africa. Back then, they were scattered into these areas, man. Among its inhabitants were a great number of Jews whom Ptolemy the First had brought there and invested with the rights of citizens. And we talk about Ptolemy all the time. Ptolemy First Soter. He's the one that took over Egypt after Alexander died, right? So let's continue. We're going to go back. So you notice all these areas here. All right. The Lord's dispersed all over. It says, and Cyrene, which when they were come to Antioch, so that was a great travel, okay, all the way, up north, further north, right? Spake unto the Grecians, preaching the Lord Yahushua. Wait a minute, you mean he's preaching the Edomites? Absolutely not. Hellenistes. A Hellenist, all right? One who imitates the manners and customs or the worship of the Greeks and use the Greek tongues. And that's why you had proselytes, converts, man, because they had to be converted pretty much back to their original customs and ways, right? From what they were following amongst those heathens where they were scattered, especially if you throw in history leading up to that. Okay. So you may have Israelites who didn't even know they were Israelites and they were being woken up to the truth. But then you may have some Israelites who knew they were Israelites, but they were still part of the ones keeping the customs of the heathens and not their own ways of the Lord. You see? It used in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek, going into the account of the distribution of the food. Okay? The Hebrew-speaking Jews were looking down on the Greek-speaking Jews. You see, there was a lot of tension between the circumcision and the uncircumcision, and it all goes back once again into the history. Okay, so you see where we're going here? So it says, when they were come to Antioch, spake unto the Grecians, preaching the Lord Yahushua. And I'm curious of what actually this would read in the NLT, that particular verse 20. However, some of the believers who went to Antioch from Cyprus and Cyrene began preaching to the Gentiles, you see? Gentiles, you see? Because that's the argument, the new argument these churches trying to come up with, man. That whenever it talks about salvation in the New Testament, see, those are heathens, you see? You can't say that God doesn't. No. The history tells us that these are Israelites who are being called Gentiles. You know that you were Gentiles carried away to these dumb idols. Okay, and why did Paul say what he said in that manner? Because he was talking to Israelites who were called Gentiles, but have now been waking up to the truth. So he was speaking on how your life used to be. You know, you were Gentiles, but now you've been waking up to this truth through the spirit and power. How about you? Shout out to your faith. See? And it said Gentiles again down below. I clicked back too quickly. So it says, and the hand of the Lord was with them, and a great number believed and turned me. You know, I gotta get it. Let me go back real quick. Because I wouldn't expect to read this in the NLT. There's something I do want to read in the NLT, but it wasn't this one. It says, however, some of the believers who went to Antioch from Cyprus and Cyrene began preaching to the Gentiles about the Lord Yahushua. The power of the Lord was with them, and a large number of these Gentiles believed and turned to the Lord, which was the center of Paul's ministry. To go to these Gentiles, these Israelites that are scattered abroad, doing things that the heathens do. Wake them up to the faith, to the truth. When the church at Jerusalem heard what had happened, they sent Barnabas to Antioch. Okay, so let's go back. Now, verse 22 says, the tidings of these things came unto the glorious preaching, the good gospel, right? Tidings, logos. Makes me think about that ship in the Matrix. Of speech, a word uttered by a living voice embodies a conceptual idea, what someone has said, a word, the sayings of the Most High, decree, mandate, order, by the moral precepts given by the Most High, Old Testament prophecy given by the prophets, what is declared, a thought, declaration, aphorism, a weighty saying, a dictum, a maxim, discourse, the act of speaking, speech, the faculty of speech, skill in practicing the speaking, a kind of style of speaking, a continuous speaking, discourse, instruction, doctrine, teaching. Okay, that was real direct. Doctrine, teaching. Anything reported in speech, a narration, narrative, matter under discussion, things spoken of, affair, a matter in dispute, case, pseudo law, suat law, the thing spoken of or talked about, event, deed, its use as respect to the mind alone, reason, the mental faculty of thinking, meditating, reasoning, calculating. Okay, so much here. Okay. I was reading that right there where it talks about John. But we're going to go back because there's so much there. I think you got the gist of it, all right? How glorious are the feet of those that spread this gospel. Isaiah 52 and 6 or 7. Then tidings of these things came unto the ears of the church. Remember, the church are what? Israelites gathered together in one place, all right, to worship the Lord on one accord. Or hear the gospel, same difference, okay? All right, came unto the ears of the church, which was in Jerusalem, and they sent forth Barnabas that he should go as far as Antioch, who, when he came and had seen the grace of the Most High, was glad and exhorted them all that with purpose of heart they would cleave unto the Lord. Yeah, because he saw Israelites that were faithful believers. So it made his heart joyful, just like us today, man. When someone turns to the truth, to the faith, right? It makes our heart joyful. All right, because this is one more Israelite that the Lord decided to pluck out of the fire of the world. Okay, Lord willing, we all endure to the end. So let's continue. Go to Matthew 26. Okay, just one verse. Matthew 26 and 31. It says, then said Yahushua unto them, all ye shall be offended because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. Okay. And this was Yahushua foretelling more things to come about his death on the cross. Okay. And how, things that were going to transpire after his death. Okay. But he was foreshadowing how Israelites were going to once again be scattered abroad amongst the heathens. Not that the Lord is dealing with the heathens. When you read things like all nations or all people, okay, you got to get the context of whether it's actually talking about all the nations, or is it talking about the all nations of the Israelites, okay? Because that's where these churches, these church people come up, and they don't have the wisdom, the understanding of what they're reading, okay? They read over something when the Lord is being direct, just to pinpoint on something like all men, all right, all nations. But what did the rest of the scripture say? What did the scripture above that say? And below that, what's the context? Okay, you take one word and you skip over everything else that's been said, and you wonder why they don't have the understanding. All right. I'm not sure if I was going to get these or not. Let me see here. I think it's Esther I want. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, just a couple examples real quick. Esther, verse 3. And we're going to get 7 and 8. I'm sorry, chapter 3, verse 7 and 8. In the first month, that is, the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, all right, they cast pur, that is, the lots, before Haman from day to day and from month to month to the 12th month, that is, the month Adar. And Haman said unto the king Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of the kingdom. You see, Israelites that were in, as a matter of fact, let's get this particular king here. All right. Ahasuerus. Okay. Ahasuerus. Right. Ahasuerus. Okay. I will be silent and poor. Title of the king of Persia, probably Xerxes. So what were these Israelites scattered? We just read it. And they were scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of them. When he said among the people, he was talking about of those Persians. All right. You have Israelites that are scattered amongst these Persians in all of these provinces. And this is what they're doing. That's what he came to. It says, and their laws are diverse, meaning different from all people. You see, it says, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. And let's go and get dispersed because we've got scattered abroad multiple times. Parad, to separate, divide. All right, to be separated. Okay, to make a division, make a separation. To be divided, be separated, get separated. Okay. We were separated from our original areas. We were separated from one another. We were scattered abroad, and we were scattered abroad amongst heathens. Just a quick example I wanted to get. I got one more actually. Exodus chapter 5. Just want to get a few here. Verse 10, and the taskmasters of the people went out, and their officers, and they spake to the people, saying, thus said Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. Go ye, get you straw where ye can find it. Ye, yet not all of your work shall be diminished. Meaning, basically, no, go, because this is when our work was made harder for us, okay? So he was like, yeah, you go and find what you need, and your work ain't going to get no lighter just because you can't, you can't produce your work like you used to before. Doesn't make your work lighter. All right. That's basically what's being said here. It says, so the people were scattered abroad throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble instead of straw. And this is a lighter example, but it's still an example nonetheless. Okay. And this is all the lands of Egypt. So you get the general area, not pinpointing any particular place here. The general idea is that Israelites were scattered everywhere. Okay. That's why it talks about in well, you know what? I don't even have to get it because we're gonna get it anyways. We're gonna get it right now. Okay. Isaiah chapter 11. Okay. I want to read this in the NLT. I'm gonna read it KJV first. Isaiah 11 and 10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. That root of Jesse. All right. From David to Yahushua. All right. It says, to it shall the Gentiles seek. What Gentiles? The Israelites that are being called Gentiles. Okay. And his rest shall be glorious. Okay. So those that are scattered abroad and not dispersed, that are actually Israelites. These are ones who are going to seek him, faithful believers. Okay. I'm going to read this in the NLT real quick. Isaiah 11 and 10. In that day, the heir to David's throne will be the banner of salvation to all the world. Yahushua. Now, if this was in the KJV and that word world popped up, guaranteed this will be G2889 because that's dealing with the Israelites only, man. Okay. So it says the nations will rally to him And see, nations will rally to him. Why is that? Because we are scattered abroad in all nations among the heathens. The nations will rally to him, and the land, just like in Isaiah 19, when it calls us Egyptians and I think it was Assyrians, if I'm correct. You see, and we're not actually Egyptians or Assyrians. It's just that we've been called by the names of the lands that we had to live under, like today. I'm an Israelite, but they would identify me as an American. See, the nations will rally to him, and the land where he lives will be a glorious place. I don't know if I want to read more. I guess we read it. It says, in that day the Lord will reach out his hand a second time to bring back the remnant of his people, those who remain in Assyria and northern Egypt, in southern Egypt, Ethiopia, and Elam, and Babylonia, Hamath, and all the distant coastlands. See, here's the key thing. I'm glad we did read. Verse 12, he will raise a flag among the nations and assemble the exiles of Israel. If you weren't clear on who the Lord is going to gather for salvation, he just told you the exiles of Israel, not all the nations. No nation is getting gathered to the Israelites, man. You see? No nation is getting gathered with the Israelites to Yahushua. Not going to happen. He will gather, and it says, and assemble the exiles of Israel. He will gather the scattered people of Judah from the ends of the earth. Can't make it up, man. You see? The Lord's dispersed are his Israelites, man. Those are the ones being gathered in the latter days for salvation when Yahushua returns. You see? And that's why you always, because we mentioned this earlier, when you get Revelation chapter 7, verse 9, this is why it's mentioned here. After this, I saw a vast crowd, too great to count, from every nation and tribe and people and language. You see? Because we were scattered. That's why it mentions it the way it mentions it. Because we were scattered amongst all the nations. Not that he's gathering all the nations. He's gathering his Israelites amongst all the nations. And that's the elect, that is. Standing in front of the throne and before the Lamb, they were clothed in white robes and held palm branches in their hands. You see? Let's jump back to Isaiah 11 real quick. I want to grab verse 16. It says, he will make a highway for the remnants of his people. Who are his people? The exiles of Israel. You cannot make it up. The scattered people. You see? And that highway, it says the remnant of his people, the remnant coming from Assyria, just as he did for Israel long ago when they returned from Egypt. What's that highway? That's the chariots, man. A spiritual highway. That's the chariots coming. You see? Bear with me, I gotta fix my glasses real quick. Okay. So, bam. Point made, man. Let me pull this KJV back up. We're gonna move forward. And we're gonna go to Zephaniah chapter 3. Man, beautiful chapter, man. Beautiful chapter. If you haven't read it, my goodness. Awesome chapter. All right. Zephaniah 3. I'm going to get 10 and 11. We're going to actually read this in the NLT, but I wanted to read the KJV first. Zephaniah 3, 10 and 11. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliants, because we're far here in the west now, right? As a matter of fact, let me get suppliants as I continue on. Athar, I believe that word is suppliant, my worshiper. Okay. So it says, my suppliants, even the daughter of my dispersed, shall bring mine offering. Who is the daughter of his dispersed? It's not talking about some woman or a female child. It's talking about the Israelites in general. Paratazah, Pawatazah. Too scattered, be dispersed, be scattered. You see, you cannot escape these precepts, man. All right. The Lord's got the scorpion rope on the precepts, man. Get over here. But these churches and, other people, even rebellious Israelites, try to make the scriptures love everybody, man. Everybody's going to get salvation, dude. You guys are off. Okay. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliants, even the daughter of my dispersed, shall bring mine offering. And these words, going into these words, show you exactly who the Lord's dispersed are, who he's gonna gather. The same ones I don't think I have that verse. Is that in Jeremiah? He that scattered. Hold on, man. Hold on. Hold on. I gotta interject. Wait a minute. Because I don't even have that one written. That scattered. I want to say that's in Jeremiah. I'll just leave he that scattered. Gotta be in Jeremiah what I'm thinking of. Oh, you see, Jeremiah 31:10. Call all your hear the word of Yahweh. O ye nations, all you places across the earth, and declare in the isles afar off. Okay? Like we just read in Isaiah 11, everywhere on the map and the islands of the sea. And say, he that scattered Israel. Who did he scatter? Israel. Who he's going to gather? Let's read it. We'll gather him and keep him as a shepherd with his flock. So the ones he scattered are Israel. The ones he's going to gather are Israel, man. And keep it them as a shepherd with his flock. There's only one nation of people called the flock in the scriptures, or sheep. That's Israel. Oh, you gotta love it, man. Let's keep going. In that day shalt thou not be ashamed for all thy doings, because the Lord is going to forgive us. He's going to give us salvation, Lord willing, we have that number, because he's going to pour out his mercy upon us. So when we return back to him, Lord willing, we have that number. Okay, all those things are going to be forgiven and forgotten about. The 2/3 will perish, and they will have to return in the kingdom through the loins of the 1/3. But the actual 1/3 themselves, okay, those are going to be the ones who are not going to have to be ashamed. Okay, like it says in Wisdom of Solomon, the strangeness of their salvation. Okay, we fools thought their life to be madness, man. Have the lot counted among the saints. See, we're not going to have to be ashamed. It says, in that day shalt thou not be ashamed for all thy doings, for all your trespasses against the Most High. Idol worship being number one, wherein thou hast transgressed against me. For then I will take away out of the midst of thee them that rejoice in thy pride, which are basically Esau, Edom. They're the prideful ones, right? Everybody's got pride, but we know the most accurate one when it talks about the pride, are the Edomites. It says, and thou shalt no more be haughty because of my holy mountain, because it says that you have drunk. Hold on. I want to read this before I move forward. Excuse me. In the NLT. Verse 10 and 11. My scattered people, who are the Israelites, because it's possessive, it's my people, which are the Israelites. And then he calls us scattered people because we are. That's part of the curses. Who live beyond the rivers of Ethiopia will come to present their offerings. On that day you will no longer need to be ashamed, for you will no longer be rebels against me. I will remove all proud and arrogant people from among you. You see? There will be no more haughtiness on my holy mountain. And who is in the Lord's holy mountain right now? Wait a minute. And Lord will, you are being edified. Because you see, I'm a little excited about this lesson. Ezekiel 36:2. This is what the sovereign Lord Yahweh says. Your enemies have taunted you, saying, aha, now the ancient heights belong to us. Therefore, son of man, give the mountains of Israel this message from the sovereign Lord. You're in the mountains, all right? I'm talking about people, not actual hills or whatever, okay? That's why it says mountains of Israel. It says your enemies have attacked you from all directions, okay? It says making you the property of many nations and the object of much mocking and slander. Back into the curses, a proverb, a byword, and astonishment to the nations. Therefore, O mountains of Israel, hear the word of the sovereign Lord. He speaks to the hills and mountains, ravines and valleys, and to the ruined, waste, and long deserted cities that have been destroyed and mocked by the surrounding nations. This is what the sovereign Lord says. My jealous anger burns against these nations, especially Edom. No escape, because they have. But I thought he's going to love them. They're going to be saved. What are you talking about? Especially Edom. All the nations, but especially Edom. Especially the so-called white man. Okay, just have to say it blunt. Just to rattle a few cages. Because they have shown utter contempt for me by gleefully taking my land for themselves as plunder. Go back to the KJV. Same scriptures, verse 2. Thus said the Lord Yahweh, because the enemy has said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Who has pretty much mostly ownership of the land right now? Edomites, Amalek. But then you also have other nations scattered around in different portions of our land. Therefore prophesy and say, Thus said the Lord Yahweh, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and ye are taken up in the lips of talkers, and are an infamy of the people, right? Lying children, okay? Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh to the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate waste, and to the cities that are forsaken, because we've been ravaged so many times, temples taken down, okay, lands taken over, which, okay, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became, and it says that we're going to rebuild the desolate places. And how is that going to happen? Through slavery, not us. All right, beginning with the Edomites. Let's continue. Which became a prey and a derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. See? Which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen. To all the heathen, you see? To all the nations, not innocent at all, that are round about. Okay? That's why the Lord tells you in Zephaniah 3 to wait ye upon me to the day that I rise up to the prey, because you were given as a prey, and as a recompense, the nations will be given as a prey back. Come on, man. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea. Who's Idumea? The so-called white man. Let's keep going. Which have appointed my land into their possession. Amalek is over there right now. A bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, okay, into their possession with the joy of all their heart. That's that pride, that happiness, that gleeful cheer. He who said, race it, even to the foundation thereof. Okay, with the joy of all their heart, with the spiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. And look what they do over there, man. Nasty, filthy, wicked people. Okay, straight demons. All right. Okay. Oh yeah, we mentioned this one too. Almost forgot it. Obadiah 1. 1 and 15. For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. You see how the Lord hit them back to back? All the heathen. Okay? All the heathen. It didn't say God loves everybody. These nations will be forgiven. It says, upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. I would really like someone to explain this. Since you want God to love everybody, and God's going to save everybody, and you have to, forgive your neighbor. What neighbor? They ain't our neighbors, man. The neighbor were those that lived amongst us in our communities. And we'll talk about a nation, afar off that we had to travel somewhere to do some trade with or whatever. Nah, man, the neighbor was talking about other Israelites. One more time, just to rub it in their faces, right? For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head, man. You see, everybody's at the mercy of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, man. The heathen nations are not going to escape this judgment, just like we couldn't escape the curses, man. But we're his people. We're slated to get salvation in the end. Lord willing, we have that number. And the heathens have lived pretty much, we'll just say enjoy for in lack of better words. I was looking for something else there. I was searching my brain in Deuteronomy 28 chapter, but you get my point though. Okay. So when it's time for the Israelites to live well, these nations are going to be doing, they're going to be put on the back burner because they're already living in a time where they have sovereignty and so on and so forth. But the Israelites are down. So when the Israelites rule, it's going to be just that, one rulership under Yahweh Shah. The Israelites are going to be above, not all the nations. But let's continue. I'm actually going to go back to Zephaniah 3 and continue reading there. Okay. Hold up. Okay, here we go. All right, Zephaniah 3 and 11. Oh, I meant to. I would keep reading it. And I guess I'll come back to the KJV. I'm going to continue in the NLT. Right. It says, Zephaniah 3 and 11. On that day, you will no longer need to be ashamed, for you will no longer be rebels against me. I will remove all proud and arrogant people from among you. There will be no more haughtiness on my holy mountain. Those who are, all those heathens over there that are fighting over our lands, those who are left will be the lowly and humble, which are the remnants, man. It says the meek, okay, shall inherit the earth. I will beautify the meek with salvation. Those who are left, the remnant, will be the lowly and humble, for it is they who trust in the name of Yahweh. You see? Wait a minute. We got to have the name. Yep, you got to have the name Yahweh and Yahweh Shah, man. Revelation 14, man. Okay, verse 1. The remnant So if you didn't know who the lowly and humble were, that's going to have the name, the true names of Yahweh Yahushua. It tells you right here, the remnant of Israel will do no wrong. They will never tell lies or deceive one another. Going back to Revelation, because it talks about no guile being in their mouth, right? No deceit. Telling you what thus saith the Lord, and that's it. All right. They will eat and sleep in safety, and no one will make them afraid. Sing, O daughter of Zion. Shout aloud, O Israel. It says, be glad and rejoice with all your heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. What's that? Psalms 149. Okay. Let the saints sing aloud upon their beds. Okay. And so on and so forth. For Yahweh will remove his hand of judgment and will disperse the armies of your enemy, scatter them by destruction. All right. And Yahweh himself, the king, that goes into 2 Ezra chapter 13. And Yahweh himself, the king of Israel, will live among you. How's he going to do that? Through Yahushua. The Lord's not going to come down here and live with us himself. It's going to be through Yahushua. Okay? He's going to be like the Most High unto us here. At last, your troubles will be over, and you will never again fear disaster. On that day, the announcement to Jerusalem will be, cheer up, Zion. Don't be afraid, for Yahweh your power is living among you. He is a mighty Savior. He will take delight in you with gladness. With his love, he will calm all your fears. He will rejoice over you with joyful songs. I will gather you who mourn for the appointed festivals. You will be disgraced no more. And I believe in Amos, it says, I despise your feast days and your solemn assemblies and things of that nature. All those things are going to be done away with. And I will deal severely with all who have oppressed you. Wait a minute. Where is the love? I will deal severely with all who have oppressed you. Isaiah 14 screaming right there. They shall rule over their oppressors. We're going to rule with a rod of iron. I will save the weak and helpless ones. Yeah, the remnant that need the Lord. And we're going to be seeking after the Lord to do miracles through his angels or men having spiritual powers, guidance, and all those things and check us trouble, man. I will save the weak and helpless ones. I will bring together those who were chased away. I will give glory and fame to my former exiles. Why we call former exiles? Because we now been given salvation out of our captivity and taken back home to our lands where the heathens are going to build up for us. Wherever they had been mocked and shamed. Hosea 1 screaming, okay? Where it was called, you're not the people. There you will be called the sons of the living power. Also hitting back at the curses, Deuteronomy 28. You should be a proverb and a byword and an astonishment to the heathen nations. On that day, I will gather you together and bring you home again. I will give you a good name, Yashur Allah, okay? A name of distinction. He is the Prince of God, man, Prince of the power. Among all the, once again, that Hosea, right? Among all the nations of the earth, okay? No, the heathens are going to know. As I restore your fortunes before their very eyes, I, Yahweh, has spoken. You see? And he says he's going to give us double for all our trouble. He says in Isaiah 65, I think it's 65, that before we, 65 and 24, if I'm correct, before we, pray, he's going to grant us, wants, wishes, some desires, something like that. Excuse me. Isaiah 65 and 24. I will answer them before they even call to me. While they are still talking about their needs, I will go ahead and answer their prayers. Say less. See? Wonderful. I'm going to go back and read this in the KJV just to solidify everything in the original version. Starting back up at verse 11. In that day shalt thou not be ashamed for all thy doings, wherein thou hast transgressed against me. For then I will take away out of the midst of thee them that rejoice in thy pride. That's the Edomites, as we already read and talked about. He's also going to take down the heathen nations. It says, and thou shalt no more be haughty because of my holy mountain. All right? The enemy has said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. You got the Edomites and other nations over there, but mainly the Edomites are the main ones. Okay? All those heathens are going to get their judgment, but the Edomites are always the main ones because that goes back to the womb from the history. I will also leave in the midst of thee an afflicted and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of Yahweh. The name of the Lord is a strong tower, and the name of Yahweh is a strong tower, and the righteous, which are the remnant, run into it and are safe. The names are the most important thing in this ministry, man. That's why we constantly push the names. That's why you constantly see me go, on my Tuesday camps. Every now and then I go into the names of Yahweh and Yahushua, for the new listeners and just for sake of magnifying the names. See? It says, the remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. Because we're looking to do the right things, man, to the best of our ability. Like the scriptures say, offend less. Put on therefore as the elect, for they shall feed and lie down, and none shall make them afraid. Seeing, O daughter, Matthew 10 and 28. We don't fear what men could do. We don't fear the persecution, all those things. We fear Yahweh Shem Shah. All right, knowing that if we fall out and slip up, then he can give us over to those people. So we fear the Lord, not those people. We fear the Lord because he's the one who's able to give us into their hands. All right. So as long as we're doing what's right by him, we're okay. It says, Yahweh hath taken away thy judgments. He hath cast out thine enemy, the king of Israel. Even Yahweh is in the midst of thee. Thou shalt not see evil any more. In that day it shall be said to Jerusalem, fear thou not, and to Zion, let not thy hands be slack. For the Lord Yahweh, thy power in the midst of thee is mighty. He will save. He will rejoice over thee with joy. He will rest in his love. He will joy over thee with singing. Okay? Got to put emphasis on these words, all right? Read the scriptures with a little oomph, okay? Not be, plain Jane with it, all right? Because this is what we believe in. Give some life to it. I will gather them that are sorrowful for the solemn assembly who are of thee, to whom the reproach of it was a burden. Still going right back to the remnant. Behold, at that time I will undo, which we know all Israel was under the curses, but the remnant are the ones being saved. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflicted, the curses, and I will save her that halted, right? The exiles, right? The captive exiles hasten to be loosed, and gather her that was driven out. And I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. At that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you, for I will make you a name and a praise among all people of the earth when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith Yahweh. Okay, let's go over here. All right, I'm going to finish it up. Matthew 24. Back down here, what we read before. I believe we read this before. Matthew 24, 27. For as, actually we didn't read this. That was another scripture, and that was Matthew 26. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So as you see lightning flash in the sky, 1 minute he's not there, 1 minute he's there. All right. It says, for wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. The eagles are talking about the chariots. The carcass is dealing with where salvation is going to come from. The elect being scattered, dispersed amongst all the nations. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the Son of the Man in heaven. How? We just read it, as lightning shining from the east to the west. Okay, I just see 1 minute they say in the world, now you see me, now you don't. Well, now you don't see him, and now you will, just like that, in a blink of an eye, as quick as the lightning flashes, right? It says, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, meaning everybody, because everybody's going to see that dark-skinned man coming on a chariot, man, to do war. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven, which are the chariots, the clouds, that is, of heaven, with the power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. All right, at the last trump. Okay, in the moment, in the twinkling of an eye. And they shall gather together his elect. That's the key. The elect, man. From the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Gathering of the remnant that will disperse from the four corners of the earth. Okay? That's what it's all about, man. Not all the nations, man. Not even all Israel. Yeah, let me grab that NLT. Let me refresh it. Okay, yep. So we're gonna go back now, and as a matter of fact, I might end. We'll do that. Let me go and get this. Hold on. My bad. Somebody see you doing something, they still just. Anyways, Matthew 24:27 NLT. For as the lightning flashes in the east and shines to the west, so it will be when the Son of Man comes. Just as the gathering of vultures shows there is a carcass nearby, so these signs indicate that the end is near. Immediately after the anguish of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will give no light, the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. And that's nuclear destruction, if I didn't mention before. Okay. And then at last, the sign of the Son of Man is coming will appear in the head. Why? Because the nukes have to go off in America in order for Yahweh to pop up and save up the elect. Because if he doesn't, the elect will get burned up here in Babylon. You see? So that's why you got to catch that wording there. And then at last, the sign of the Son of Man is coming will appear in the heavens, and there will be deep mourning among all the peoples of the earth, and they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, and he will send out his angels with the mighty blast of a trumpet, and they will gather his chosen ones from all over the world. You see, the dispersed, all right, from the farthest ends of the earth and heaven. Okay, and pretty much, man, what was I about to say? I was about to say something. Slipped my mind. Man, I was about to say something there. Slipped my mind. Okay. But anyways, it's okay. It's okay. The point is most definitely heavily made. Okay. Most definitely made. Yeah. Yeah. I'll just continue because I lost my train of thought there. Let's end on this scripture here. All right. Isaiah 62:7. Actually, let's go back. Okay. Okay. Isaiah 62:6. It says, I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of Yahweh, keep not silence, and give him no rest till he establish and till he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. We're going to end it right there. So, Lord willing, you will edify to next time. Y'all going to say Shalom.